Welcome back, everybody. Time to hop into some games. Let's queue up and control some opponents. Oh, RNG, Eternal's own RNG. Don't really feel like keeping a hand. We have effectively a 2-power hand, but we have a lot of clunky cards and the dreaded double death strike that I talked about. So easy redraw. This is a bit better than a 3-power. We have a little cheaper hand overall and a bit more diverse in what it can do, so it's definitely a bit better. Whereas Favor makes a huge difference in not getting run over too quickly, too early. Gonna ping here. I mean, the effect is not even like useless here because he seems to be an armory, so he has Auric Rune Hammers and Artisans and stuff that Varus Favor can kill, but we might draw into like a Bloodcaster or Wisdom of the Elders that we might want to cast on 3, so I prefer to not delay it. Since if we don't draw power we have to do it on 3 anyway before, and he had no Artisan, he would have played Artisan on 2 if he had one. And we can't wait for Rune Hammer usually anyway. And Lightning Strike. That's exactly what we put the card in the deck for. Matchup is still not great though, so we'll see how it goes. At least we get to drop a unit on him, which is nice. 5 blocks Rune Hammer, as long as it didn't get Warcry from the Sword of Vicaria, so that definitely helps. Get to attack here, and we unfortunately have to Varus Favor again to get power, and we are close to setting up a Champion of Cunning, which is not too bad. But I usually don't want to run it out without Aegis against them, because they have Vanquishes, and yeah, don't really want to give him a free Vanquish on a Champion of Cunning. I think I almost just want to run out the Witch here as like protection from relic weapons and some additional pressure, since her effect is not particularly important in this matchup. So I'd rather just run her out there to get some beatdown going. I mean, he's already at 15, so... The question is, do I want to run out another Steward into a potential harsh rule? I think probably not. Yeah, probably not. 2, like 1.5 units should be enough to bait a harsh rule. With the opponent on 11, yep, there's the harsh rule, as expected. Feln banner. Pretty convenient. We are close to having a fully active Champion of Cunning, which should help us finish that game nicely. And we also have a Harbinger that we can drop next turn if we don't draw a Primal Sigil, like any blue influence basically. We couldn't care less. So I think the plan here is to just permafrost this guy, drop a second guy into a potential harsh rule, gain some life back. And if we draw blue influence we can just drop this into a potential harsh rule, make these guys bigger, so if he doesn't have a harsh rule he just loses the game. Alright, there's the harsh rule. Maybe it was a bit ambitious to drop the Harbinger there against his full grip, but I think it's kind of okay to pressure him if he is struggling basically. Almost inclined to just drop this now, because then we get this to 4. Even if he vanquishes on his turn, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's okay. That should give us some decent pressure. Plus we can spend next turn ultimating. Getting a relic weapon would actually be really sweet. Nope, takes the vanquish. Let's hope he doesn't have a second one. Double torch. That's okay. Maybe we get punished a bit too much for not waiting, given that he also had double torch to deal with both guys. Not gonna death strike yet. Lightning Storm would be really sweet here. To just clear the Aegis in this guy and then death strike that. But yeah, as you can see, we are out of cards because we didn't draw Wisdom of the Elders, didn't get to activate an ultimate. Opponent got a couple 2-for-1s off. But I feel like this is a matchup where we probably want to try to be aggressive if we get in a spot like this where we can, because his deck is actually pretty good going long against ours, so that kind of matters. And yeah, now we kind of feel the hurt of a 7-10 Stone Scar Wall. Yeah, this game is basically over. Thanks to a big maul. That's basically what I wanted to avoid. I wanted to just kill him before he can properly set up, because I think going infinitely long, this matchup usually favors them due to the strong relic weapons. And as we can see, it's not like Torch would have helped here either from the red splash. So we are just done here. One of the worst matchups to start with, but that happens. There's usually not much armory on ladder currently, so that's not a big deal. I read minds, let's see if he's on big combo. That's actually a decent hand. Since we have 3 power, I mean, I still don't like double death strike Harbinger in my opening hand. So I'm probably gonna mulligan to hope for something like a Bloodcaster or Wisdom of the Elders, for example. That's okay. Suffocate's decent in Permafrost to keep us afloat. We're a bit light on power this time. But our deck plays enough for that to not be that big of a problem. As you saw, if this seal would have been a sigil, there would have been a 33 or 66% chance of it being a shadow sigil, and we would have not had any primal influence to work with. So it's pretty good that it was a seal and not a sigil. Just to highlight once again how great seal is for basically any deck and what it does for the deck. So yeah, it seems like he is on big combo. Interesting. Not sure why he did that. I mean, I feel like if we have Varus Favor we would have already done that. Now I just get to Lightning Storm his 2-2 for free. And just let him ping us with this guy, because that's whatever. Lightning Storm usually is really bad against his deck. We can hold on to Permafrost and Suffocate for other things like Seraph. I guess now that we have so many, we're gonna just Suffocate this guy anyway. Since we have a couple to spare. But yeah, we really need one of our 5 answers for Sandstorm Titan. Sandstorm Titan is one of the reasons why I could see running a third Annihilate, because we're currently a bit low on Titan answers at 5. So it wouldn't hurt to consider having a 6th Titan answer. for the 4 Titans that Titan decks usually play. Alright. Gonna drop Stewart, hope he doesn't get silenced. Trade. To be fair, Big Combre is a more common matchup that is actually, in my opinion, pretty unfavorable for Feln Control, simply because they just overpower us so much. They just draw, like, half their deck is just cards that you either answer right away or they run away with the game. Now we can at least clear up with the Harbinger and potentially double block. Gain some life. And hope that this is enough to stabilize us for now. I mean, he should not have any way to deal with these, so we get to double block potentially, which is good. I read mind just won the Season 2 Invitational with his Big Combre deck. Sweet, so actually get to safely deploy staff here, that's nice. And I think we can just favor here, because this deck basically has nothing cares about an Aegis in our face anyway. So I'd rather thin my deck from a Sigil and get the power drop. So if we draw power next turn, we can go up to 9. And quicker get to Bloodcaster ultimate territory, for example. Double block. I'm gonna trade out Harbinger for his Titan, which is actually a pretty solid trade. We have enough ways to deal with the Valkyrie. For an extra card, we might actually have managed to turn this game around. Thanks to Staff and him being kind of out of resources. Don't think I want to attack here, simply because of Wasp, and well, like, Wasp doesn't make a difference because we can block it, but like Marshall pressuring our Staff. And we just want to keep Staff alive. Since he isn't really doing anything, I think it's time to start pressuring. He would need 3 Marshall to kill our Staff. If he end of turn Marshall puts our Staff to 3, I'm gonna stop attacking. So we actually get to ultimate our Bloodcaster right away, that's great. Now we can attack even safer. Ooh! That's like the best thing we could have drawn, basically. Nice. They just won, sweet. I don't know, I mean, I usually like to play against Feln-based control decks as Big Combre, but he apparently had kind of a weak draw there. So that helped us turn the game around on him. But yeah, that Titan was kind of problematic. Maybe it's worth considering to turn the Force Permafrost into an Annihilate. It's a bit more expensive, makes us a bit less flexible and tempo efficient in the early game, but gives us a 6 out to the 4 Sandstorm Titans. And it's also pretty good against the other big combo threats like Mystic Ascendant, so it's not too bad. And yeah, I think we should have more, probably should have more 5 chances total for a must-kill threat like Sandstorm Titan. This is a great hand, so we're gonna keep. 3 power plus a favor, so effectively 4 power, while 1 power even has the added bonus of doing stuff for us. Wisdom of the Elders to get more power and more business, and even Bloodcaster to block, so everything is awesome basically with this hand, and we just shut down this guy. Also, Permafrost has the downside of getting broken by Deep Forge Blade in the late game against Dracano, which is something that should not be ignored either. Now we can drop Bloodcaster to stop the Sword of Icaria beats. If he's willing to attack and torch here, it's fine. Hitting a sword and a torch is a solid 2-for-1 from our Bloodcaster. That's probably already slightly better than what we expect from him. And next turn we can most likely just Varus Favor into Wisdom of the Elders. Just gonna block here, eat the torch or finest hour, that's okay, and hopefully Wisdom of the Elders into a removal. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of the Aegis here, and then pass with power open to just end of turn draw 2 cards. Having power open here makes him play around removal, which is another added bonus of Wisdom being a fast spell. Because you might be more conservative of putting a hammer on either of those if we represent Annihilate. Nice, now we get a really good value Lightning Storm thanks to our Varus Favor setting down. And now we should be in a pretty safe position in this game. Yeah, I think that's a good deal. If he eventually plays it, we can still Death Strike it or just sweep it up in a Withering Witch later. Which is another nice thing about Permafrost. Usually they only temporarily stun because they eventually die to like Withering Witch plus something, or just Lightning Storm or Harbinger depending on what their health is. Just gonna Harbinger here to stabilize our life total and pressure a bit. Also prevent Sword of Icaria attacks. So that's a nice added bonus. And we still have the Witch plus Storm to sweep whatever the opponent might drop on us. And Death Strike to protect ourselves from the Enforcer. No plate. I think I am probably willing to take 5 here. Yep, I think I am. On 23 we can safely take 5 and get more value out of our Lightning Storm. That otherwise wouldn't do much. And preserve our Death Strike for the potential plate or whatever else we might need it for. Like for example charge units that come out of Soulfire Drake. With Warcry and stuff. That is unfortunate. But not much we can do about it, unfortunately. Gonna pass. Take some damage to the face. That is pretty good. It's like the best thing we could have gotten the 2 Sword of Icaria Warcries on from earlier. Unfortunately. That's what Death Strike is for, basically. I think I'm just gonna Death Strike it now to free up some power in our turn, so that we can do more stuff. Yeah, we can't really staff here. If I get to 10 power, I'm gonna Witch and Staff in one turn to get us 1 extra card, and hope to find a way to deal the last damage to Staff between Harbinger and Varus Favor, or just another unit, like this guy. I think now we can Staff, because we should not be able to get rid of this and kill the Staff in the same turn, because it cannot be vanquished. I mean, if he is really good and has the cards, he could Finest Hour. Wow, that's pretty good. Finest Hour, Vanquish. That's pretty good. But Finest Hour, Vanquish this guy and then hit our face. Alright, so get to pop the Aegis. Play this guy to threaten to trade. And hope that this trade goes through. Otherwise we might lose after all. At least we got rid of the Warcry that Sword of Icaria mostly produced. Him gaining life is whatever. It's just really bad that we lost our staff. Because he happened to have Righteous Fury. Yeah, we go to 1 now. It's not nice. And once again we basically got outgrinded by the aggro deck, because they have 6 power, we have 11, and we didn't manage to draw enough extra cards basically. as I explained in the deck tech. That's one of my problems with true control decks in this game at the moment, because there's just not enough good over-the-top card advantage engines that seal the deal in the late game and are flexible enough. Like there's Channel the Tempest, which is not even that big of a deal because drawing 3 is still not that huge. It's kind of like a 4 for 1 if you kill something with it, and 8 is a lot, and it is super inflexible because it basically rots in your hand until you have power, which is too slow against various matchups to begin with. Alright, he got us since we drew another power, unfortunately. But yeah, so Rhino runs 2 more power, he runs 2 more Seek power in this deck, and I think that's definitely too much because 33 is a pretty healthy number for a control deck. 35 seems excessive and makes scenarios like this even more likely. The control decks of this game simply don't have the card draw power to run 35 power currently. With more cards out and better card draw, we will probably see more control decks that run more power because they will eventually have stronger card advantage cards and mechanics to make up for extra power in the late game by high impact cards that benefit from you having a lot of power, like maybe an X, like a power surge card draw spell, for example, if we ever get something like that. Like, I don't know, power surge, draw half the amount of cards rounded up or down equal to power spent, for example. That would be a decent card. Would draw 3 cards for 6 power. Not too great in the early game, but scales really well in the late game. If you in a scenario like that, you get to 10 power, draw 5, but still 4 power, draw 2 on turn 4 if you have nothing better to do, is a pretty solid deal. Just a straight up pay X, draw X would be too strong. Alright, that's the first half of the games. We went 1 and 2, unfortunately. Although I think we basically won a tough matchup and lost to 2 tougher matchups. Like, I'm not sure how tough Rakano is usually for Feln Control, but it seems like it is reasonably tough, and Armory is like the nightmare, and we lost to Armory, beat Big Combre, and lost a close, fairly interesting game to Rakano. So see you in a moment with the second half of the games with 3 more matches. Stay tuned.